Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I am here with the next update for my A to C project pan and I'm very excited to share with you my progress. But before we jump into any of that, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. But let's just jump into the eyeshadows. So you all know this project by now, but if you don't, basically I'm working for one eyeshadow covering each letter of the alphabet, and I decided to go with the shade name, so not brand, and I want to hit pan on all of those eyeshadows. If you haven't seen my previous updates, I would recommend you go and check them out because I will hop over or skip over the letters I already had pan on. But with that said, let's just jump in to letter A. And the one for letter A I actually haven't used this month. That is the shade Anastasia from the Anastasia Amrisi palette. A lot of A's in that, but yeah, I haven't used this one at all. I did use it 4 times before this month, but yeah, it just wasn't a shade that I was reaching for. But I think this is going to be the perfect kind of shade between spring and summer, so I might reach for a bit this month, but otherwise I think this is going to be a really nice focus shade maybe for like May, June. So yeah, no uses on this yet, but I'm not worried about hitting pan on this one. So I already hit pan on B, so let's move on to the letter C, which comes from my sultry palette, again from Anastasia, and I am working on the shade Cyborg, which is this one right here. This one is another one I haven't used, so yeah, no update, and I've only used this one twice before this past month. The shade for D though I have used a lot. That comes from my Anastasia Norvina palette, and the shade is Dreamer, which is the lightest shade, or like the lightest shimmer shade in the palette. And I've actually used this one 6 times, and it is up here, and you can definitely see a dip in this one now. I haven't hit pan yet, but I'm definitely getting closer, and I think this is one that I will hit pan on in the next coming month because I've been loving using this both on my lids but also in my inner corners a bit, and it is a beautiful shade. So yeah, I think this palette in general I've been working on quite a lot. I'm working on 3 shades in this palette, and I will talk about the other ones later down this list. But all 3 I've been working on quite a lot, so I'm hoping to get pan on at least 1 or 2 of them in the next coming month, and I think Dream is going to be the first one I hit pan on. For E, it's another one I haven't used. That comes from my Subculture palette, and it is in the shade Electric. I have used it twice before this update, but yeah, no uses in the past month. I just been using other things, and although I've been panning green, which you can clearly see in my look today, this just wasn't a shade that I was reaching for. And I also had another green in this project that I was reaching for over this one, which is why the uses was lacking on this shade. The next letter is G, which comes from my Jackie Aina Anastasia palette, and the shade that I have in here is Ginger, which is this one here. I have actually used this one once in the past month, so not great, but at least there is 1 use. And I now have 6 uses in total on it, and there is like a little bit of a dip, but honestly this one is moving slower than a lot of other kind of Anastasia shades, and I think that is because this one is very pigmented and you don't need a lot of it. So this one's probably going to be one that is in for the long haul, but this shade is perfect for summer and autumn, so I am again not worried about hitting pan on it. I just haven't really been feeling these really rich orangey browns yet. The next shade is a shade that comes from my More palette, and it is the shade HWY for H obviously. Mine is actually not the original HWI, but I did combine my Soul palette and my More palette, and this is the shade that was in that spot, so I decided to go with it. And this is a really bright orange shade, and it looks like this. I just have it deposited in my little C palette, which makes it easier for me to reach for. I have actually reached for this once, but I didn't reach for it as a nail polish, which is why you can probably see a lot of usage on it, but it's not really like concentrated dip or anything, because when I use it as a nail polish I use my finger and it kind of flattens out the whole top layer and not just creating a dip. So 1 use, but I think again this is one that screams summer to me, so I think this is one that I could pan on maybe around July, August time. For J, we have the shade Jester, which is one from Makeup Geek. This is one of the photo eyeshadows, and I have used this once in the past month, which is funny because I actually use this once every single month, so I have total usage of 3 now. But this is a beautiful shade. I just been reaching for a lot of other shimmers, and although I've been pairing a lot of green shades, I feel like this is more of a neutral green. And when I've been wearing, for example, this green that I'm wearing on my lid or in my crease today, I just want to go all out, and this one is a bit too muted for that. But it is beautiful to pair with more neutral tones, which is how I've gotten use out of it so far. For K, we have a shade from my Juvia's Place Tri palette, and this is the green that I was talking about before that has kind of come over or come before the electric shade, and that is the shade Coral, which is this one here. And hopefully you can see that I was actually able to pan this shade, and I did use it an additional 8 times in the past month for a total usage of 11. And I love using this both as an corner highlight but also as a highlighter on my cheek, and that was why I hit pan on this. So I'm really excited to roll this out, and I'm actually working on this shade right here in my whole collection, no sorry, my deco panning project pan, and that is majority of what is on my lid. It's like the crease shade, and also I put it on top of a lid, but I have a shimmer shade on top of it. But I am wearing this on my eyes today if you're wondering, and it's a beautiful shade. So I can't roll this palette out yet, but at least I have pan on Coral now. For L, we're going back to my Novena palette, and the shade that I'm working on for L is the shade Love, which is this pink one down here. This is another one, like I said, that I've been using a little bit more this month. I actually only have 2 uses on it though, which is surprising to me because I definitely feel like I used it more than 2 times. But I think that is because I used it quite a lot in the month prior, and I now have a total of 11 uses, which I definitely think you can pick up on camera because there is quite a big dip in it. And yeah, I think this is a shade that I'm hopefully, like I said, can hit pan on in the next month. It is quite a powdery shade, so you have to be quite gentle with it, otherwise it kicks up a lot of product. So it is going to be one that is easier to hit pan on, I think. But yeah, I just haven't quite gotten there yet. But like I said, I am calling it that I will hit pan on this in the next month. So for M, N and O are all shades I haven't used at all yet in this project. So no uses in the past month and no uses prior either. So let's just jump over them. The first one is for Mulberry, which is this one here. I'm going to go through N in a second, but let's do O while I'm here because O is Orange Soda, which is the shade over here. So I haven't used these 2 at all yet. I just been having other similar shades in other like projects, and also this orange shade I feel like it's going to be nicer for me to wear in the summer. And I have been rocking a lot of cool tone looks, which is why this has kind of fallen behind. And similar with N, which comes from my Subculture palette, that is the shade New Wave, which is a very bright kind of creamsicle orange shade. And yeah, I haven't used this one at all yet either. For P though, we have my Anastasia Prism palette, and this is another exciting update because I have the shade Pyramid, which is this gold right here, and as you can see I have hit pan on it, which is very exciting. I hit pan on this I think maybe a week and a half ago now, and I honestly just used it every single day for like a week, and that's how I pan on it because it was such an easy shade to reach for with my everyday looks, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm actually working on the shade Eternal now in a different project. I think that's also in my deco panning project, so hopefully this palette will start looking even more used very soon. But at least now I pan on the shade I was working on from this project. And I forgot to say, I have used this shade an additional 3 times in the past month. I definitely feel like I used it more, but maybe I just used it for an additional time after I pan on it, and then I used it 6 times in total to hit pan. For Q, we have the shade Queen Bee, which is from the Colourpop Aha Honey palette, and again I have it just in a single because it's easy for me to reach for that way. And I have used this once in the past month for a total of 4 uses. Again, I think this is going to be one that I reach for more when I start wearing warmer tone looks. But I've been focusing more on the cool tone looks, at least in the past few months. I think now I'm starting to get ready to wear more warm tones. So hopefully the uses will be a bit more on this in the upcoming month. So for R, we have another shade that I actually haven't used at all yet. This one comes from my Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette, and it is the shade Raw Sienna, which is down here. Like I said, I haven't reached for it. It's more of a warmer tone again, so that's probably why. And yeah, I think this is going to be one that I pull out very soon as well. For S, we have another shade from my Jackie Aina palette. This is the shade Sponsored, which is this one down here. I haven't used this past month, but I have 2 uses on it in total. It is an absolutely stunning shade, and the reason why I haven't really reached for it is because I feel like I don't want to waste it just staying at home, and that's why I haven't really reached for it. But it is a beautiful shade, and I'm not worried at all about hitting pan on it. For you, we have a shade from my Subculture palette again. This one is the shade Untamed, which is this one down here. Again, I haven't used this in the past month, but I do have 2 uses on it from before. I was actually working on quite a similar shade in my whole collection project pan, but I finally hit pan on that, so I feel like now I can start reaching for this one instead. But I have had a little bit of a break from these type of shades recently because I was so worn out of them after panning that other one. But I feel like even if I don't reach for it in the now, like for example now in the summer, I'm not worried about it because this is a perfect shade for autumn and winter, so I'll probably focus in on it during that period if I don't feel like wearing this type of shade in summer. For V, we have a shade that I'm actually wearing on my eyes today. This is the shade Vla from my Nikki Tutorials and Beauty Bay palette, and it is just this really bright kind of pastel yellow right here, and I do have quite a dip in this, and I thought I might have a pan on it today, but I didn't quite get there. This is what I'm wearing kind of to blend out that green in my crease, and it is actually the only time I've worn it this past month, but I do have 6 uses in total on it, and I think this is one that I can probably roll out by next update. Next up we have W, which is Wild Child, again from my Novena palette. This one is the kind of shimmery pink in the palette, and I have reached for this 3 times in the past month for a total of 4 uses. I do quite like this shade. It is more of a kind of, although it looks quite bright, it does have like a sheen to it which makes it a bit more muted. I do quite like it though, so I have, like I said, reached for it 3 times, which is decent, especially since I'm panning so many eyeshadows. But yeah, it is one that I'm not sure I can actually roll out next month. Like I said, I think I might be able to roll these 2 out, but this one might take a little bit longer, but I am enjoying this shade. The last 2 shades both come from my Juvia's Place Magic Mini palette, and we have Y and Z obviously. For Y we have Jamoya down here, which is the silver shade, and I have used this once in the past month. And then for Z we have the shade Suba, which is here, and I haven't used this one at all yet. So I mean, I feel like I'm not worried about hidden shade pan on these 2 either. Suba is a little bit close to Wild Child. It's a little bit more kind of, I think it has more of a golden sheen to it, but otherwise they are quite similar. And Jamoya is just such a stark shade that I just haven't reached for it that much. I actually only have 1 use on it in total, and Suba I haven't reached for at all in this project. But I know that I can quite easily hit pan on Juvia's Place formula. Clearly, as you can see in this palette, I have a lot of pans in here. So I'm not worried about these 2 either. I just haven't got around to wearing them because again I am panning quite a few different eyeshadows. But that guys is it for this video. Those are all the eyeshadows that I'm panning in this project, and I hit pan on an additional 2 this month, which is really good. I think now that is 7 that I've hit pan on, so I'm making steady progress on them, and hopefully I will be able to hit my goal of hitting pan on all 26 of these by the end of the year. But I really hope you're having an amazing day, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye guys!